Thank you all for coming to the Uinta County Startup Challenge. So today we're going to have an introduction briefly, and then we'll hear from all of our wonderful teams. About halfway through we'll have a break with some light refreshments, and then afterwards we'll have some like barbecue and some networking while the judges make their difficult deliberations. So the Uinta County Startup Challenge is done in collaboration of Impact 307, which is part of UW, and Western Wyoming Community College. And also, we couldn't have done this without Rocco O'Neill from the city of Evanston. Rocco, could you please stand? And Lori, could you please come in here and be so our Western partner. Some Impact colleagues that are here in the audience tonight. So if we could have Elizabeth Gilhuson stand. And then Jared and Brian Young are in the balcony. And so if anybody wants to start a business and they want some free business counseling, or they think that they might want to be part of a startup competition, or just have some free education in a business event, you can contact me. And this is my cell phone number and my email address. My cards are out on the table, and please grab some swag from our lovely sponsors, and also from Impact 307 and Western. So our program is funded by an EDA CARES grant, and we're very lucky to have Mackenzie Jennikov in the audience. Mackenzie, could you please stand? And it's done in partnership of UW and Western Wyoming Community College. We also couldn't have done this without the Wyoming Business Council, who gave a grant for some of the event costs, and also without the city of Evanston. And our seed fund sponsors, so all of the finalists that you see tonight are competing for funding to start their business. And this is made possible by the Wyoming Innovation Partnership, the UC EDC, and State Bank. And we have a couple of members from the UC EDC on our judging panel. So Gary Willing and Dan Miller, could you please stand up? And it's also sponsored by State Bank. So if Cody Bateman could please stand up. So along the way, we did give each of the finalists quite a bit of business education. So they had one-on-one mentorship with me, and then they also had a series of business education events. And one of the biggest ones was that we had a boot camp here in the Strand Theater. And it was well attended. There was 45 companies that came. And we had a lot of experts that gave their time for free. And so we'd like to thank our legal panel, who is Thane Peterson and Jeff Phillips. And then for accounting, we'd like to thank Nate Sponenberg. And for banking, we'd like to thank State Bank. So Cody Bateman was here, as well as Dave O'Connell and Tiller Seamers. And the really exciting thing, so State Bank has just opened a loan production office right here in downtown Evanston in the old post office. And then our marketing was given by CWG, digital marketing, by Jason and Erica Bailey. Jason, could you please stand up? And exciting thing about CWG, they're offering a course for startups to learn more about marketing, and that will probably launch in September. And we'd like to thank the people that did our judging for our semifinal round. So each of the applicants applied, and then there was like a written application that was judged. And our semifinal judges were Cody Bateman of State Bank, Dan Wheeler from the UC EDC, John Conrad, who is a Wyoming State Representative, and Jason Bailey from CWG. And then our finalist judges were Dave O'Connell from State Bank, Dan Wheeler from the UC EDC, Gary Willing from the UC EDC, and Jason Bailey from CWG. And tonight we have our pitch night judges. So if each of you could give a brief introduction of yourselves, that'd be fantastic.
Thank you, Monica. I'm Cody Bateman with State Bank. Worked with Monica in Sweetwater County on a similar program. I think it's really good. Excited that Rocco and Monica worked together. You know that saw Fred here earlier. There he is in the back. He helped a lot with that. So the one in Rock Springs was great, well attended, and I think that this will continue to grow as we move. So I think a big thanks to Monica, Rocco, everybody at Impact 307 for getting this together and really providing funds for Evanston and people looking to start businesses.
Thanks, Cody. I'm Gary Welling. Worked with Uinta County for now going on 24 years. Economic development for the last 10 probably. Excited to be a part of this. Excited for this opportunity. Had no idea that we had this much ingenuity and innovation in our county. I'm excited for what this leads up to, what can come from this. Even if you're not a winner, even if you didn't make the finals, a lot of good ideas coming from this community. So don't give up. Keep going. Keep thinking. Keep progressing. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan Wheeler, and I have the privilege of being the chair for our Uinta County Economic Development Commission. And I think that our group has wanted to partner with Impact 307 we thought it was a great idea. We thought it was something that was special for our community, and we just wanted to be a part of it, and made lots of new friends, and it's been a good ride. Thank you.
And so after the presentations, you'll have a chance to vote for 2 winners. So you'll be able to choose the Audience Choice Award, and this is presented by the UCEDC. And we'll give you instructions, after the pitches conclude, and that's when our voting will commence. But pretty much you'll just be texting your choice to the number at the top. These are also on the program, so if you don't have one, they're out in the lobby, and we'll be having breaks throughout the thing so you can get one then. And then there is also a Job Creator Award, and that's presented by State Bank. And again, you'll just be texting your choice. So with that, let's begin the Uinta County Star Challenge. And first up is Bailey Snyder.
Congratulations to all the candidates. You guys are amazing, and I think you're all going to be pretty excited to see all the entrepreneurs and new businesses coming up. So I am the owner and medical provider of Optimal New Wellness. We focus on bioidentical hormone replacement, also working on things like thyroid, medical weight loss, and other wellness. So we opened our doors just a couple months ago in May, just a couple doors down here on Main Street. Excited to be part of the downtown community and participate in all the events that the downtown businesses do. So the loss of or unbalanced hormones can lead to significant chronic diseases and decrease in individuals' overall wellness. I decided to get into this business mainly in part because I had a lot of friends, clients, patients tell me how terrible they felt and how much better their hormones made them feel. So I started to do some research and some education and decided that this was a strong passion of mine. As you can see, it can make you feel fatigue, weight gain, all those lovely things that we all probably deal with at some point. The thing that really caught me was all the chronic diseases, the cardiovascular disease or heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, cancer, all of those life-threatening diseases that we are all dealing with on a daily basis. And so in my mind, hormone therapy truly is preventative medicine and life-saving medicine. And the reason I decided to open the clinic here is because of the limited access to our community. Unfortunately, these services can be very difficult to obtain through your general providers, your primary care providers, due to a lack of training and understanding. At this point, there really are no clinics like this in Southwest Wyoming, and so I thought this was a great opportunity to be able to offer it to our community. Affordability is an issue as far as access for some people as well. A lot of times insurance companies don't cover this type of care, so it may not be available to those that can't pay cash and drive to Utah. So my product is the clinic, an accessible, affordable, and knowledgeable wellness clinic serving our community in Southwest Wyoming to improve the overall health of all of our clients. Our mission is, again, to focus on bioidentical hormones compounded by one of our trusted local pharmacies. So this is a specific type of pharmaceutical that is made within the pharmacy, and they have to follow a lot of regulations. And we are very fortunate to have one of our local pharmacies able to provide this. I work very closely with them and have a lot of trust in their services and what they're able to provide you. Obviously, providing a knowledgeable and compassionate provider close to home. You don't have to go to Utah for these services anymore. Access and affordability for those previously unable to get these types of services, whether again that was cost, travel, or not knowing anything about it. I would really like to focus on educating our community on the importance of hormones and how much they can help you. I'd like to work with other businesses with like-minded companies, doing seminars, trainings, participating in things like the Women's Conference, and trying to get the word out. Collaborating with companies focused on improving people's wellness. So these are current companies that we are actively collaborating with. So you have City Drug, 7K Fit, Barefoot Yoga and Wellness, and J&A Wellness is out of Kemmer, hoping to kind of start expanding into that area. And then expanding into a comprehensive wellness clinic, providing even further services than what we offer at this time. So our customer, your bread and butter, is probably going to be the males and females around 45 to 65 years old. That's going to include the perimenopausal and postmenopausal females, males starting to struggle with low testosterone, but we are not limited to that. We can go much younger, older, so a lot of younger females that may be struggling with PCOS or infertility would be good candidates for this. Thyroid disease can occur at any age, and anybody wanting to deal or have some help with some weight loss. So really are open to a lot of age ranges in that. So market statistics. So 50% of postmenopausal females report using hormones at some point. 50% is not great. As we go back and look at those chronic diseases that the loss of hormones can cause, this number ideally should be 100%. These really can be life-saving treatments. So we really would like to see those numbers go up. 45% of those women around 40 to 60 received counseling, whether that was from their primary care provider or some other provider or friend or who knows. So again, really, that should be 100%. Everybody should know about this. Everybody should have the option of receiving this type of care. And I would really like to see these numbers go up over the next 10, 20, however many years. The prevalence of diabetes is twice as high in women that have not received hormone replacement therapy. I'm sure you all know what diabetes is. how significant it is in our country, the world, and all the serious issues that can come with that. So we can, again, decrease the risk of those chronic diseases. We'll be making a big impact on a lot of people's lives. Approximately 2.4 million males from 40 to 69 years old suffer with hypogonadism or low testosterone, but only 2.3% in their 40s and 3.8% in their 60s have been treated for that. So again, those numbers are drastically lower than we would like to see. The global hormone replacement therapy market was valued at over $21 billion last year, and it is expected to grow at about 6.6 into 2030. And so we're excited to be part of that growth. These are some census statistics just from Uinta County, Sweetwater County, and Lincoln County, trying to evaluate our market. If you're looking at those in the ages of 40 to 69, in those 3 counties, it puts us about 31,000 potential clientele. Obviously, if we take even a quarter of that, that's a pretty significant starting point of people to reach out to. Some things that I am strong about and think that we do a little better than our competition. Obviously, we're local, making it more accessible for our community. Affordability. I've had a lot of friends participate in clinics like this in Utah, and they are averaging probably about $2,000 to $25,000 a year. We're looking at probably $1,000 or less per year, depending on the services that you need. I also like to take a comprehensive look at the patient. I want to see the whole patient and put all the puzzle pieces together. Especially a lot of the online clinics, they will treat your testosterone or your weight or your estrogen. They don't really do all of it. A lot of these clinics, especially the ones in Utah, are going to bind you to a yearly contract, whether you utilize their services or not. I do not make my clients sign a contract. I don't feel like that's appropriate. I do feel like if we're treating them as well as we want to, they're going to come back without a contract. Again, the quality products. So we've all probably ordered some things online. Some of them come as they look and some of them don't. And that's going to be the same as ordering supplements and hormones and things online. So I have full trust in the partners that I work with, the pharmacies, that they are providing you with the best quality products available. I also like to take a personalized approach to my patients. A lot of these clinics will make you get a huge lab panel every 3 months, and it's the same for every person that walks in the door. You just follow their protocol. I don't want that. I want us to work and figure out what's best for you. Marketing. So that's a big step for us right now, something we're really focusing on. As of right now, we've been working on word of mouth, and that has been successful and will continue to be one of our biggest pushes because that's going to be really probably what's going to get you in the door as much as anything. Currently trying to work on some search engine optimization and getting a social media presence going. Also would like to continue working on education, whether that's on a social media basis, seminars, and conferences locally. So the sales for me, typically when somebody is in my door, they probably know what they're there for, what they want. The sale is probably made at that point. But we do offer free consultations. Again, I think education is going to be a big part of this, getting out and letting other people hear about it that are unfamiliar with it. We offer multiple payment programs, payment options to try and make it as accessible for anybody, even if cash is a hard part for them. Offering discounts, referral programs, and we do offer discounts with some of the collaborating businesses that we do. So our revenue model obviously is based off of the patient visit. This can be a pay per visit or a yearly membership. So different options and availabilities when it comes to that. We are currently doing some product sales in office and are hoping to expand on this and do further products and then also expand into a larger space and offer further procedures. So this is our cash flow model. As you can see, hopefully that green line just keeps going up. We're able to continue building the practice. The little dip that you see at the beginning of year 3, that is our goal of expanding, building this clinic into a full-time comprehensive wellness clinic offering lots of different services. So our timeline, year 1, obviously we got ourselves going in May, so that was a big step. Currently working on hiring some part-time staff to get things moving a little bit quicker, allowing myself to see more patients, and starting a marketing campaign and getting our word out there. Year 2, again, continuing to grow and expand, hiring more staff, increasing patient visits, more collaborations with local companies and businesses, and further services and products, with year 3 being the big expansion. Currently limited a little bit on space where we're at. I love my office, but would be able to do a lot more if we could expand into a bigger space and hire more staff. So that is the goal. And at this point, I'd like to say thank you and offer any questions.
Could we please thank Bailey?
Bailey, I got one question.
Yes.
Do you currently have a website or no?
Yes,
Right there in front,
optimally.com.
right? Obvious question, right? Okay, I didn't know if it was up and going.
It is, yep. It's been going since May.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
You talked about expanding your staff.
Mhm.
So would those people have the qualifications you do?
Probably not at the starting point. So at this point, we would be looking at hiring like an MA or a nurse to help with some of those services, blood draws, things like that. Currently, I am only working part-time at this job along with my other job. And so the goal for me would be able to do this full-time, hopefully by year 3, and possibly even bring in another provider at that point if we're up to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How does this fit in with traditional, I guess, Western medicine
So,
and systems?
sure. Kind of a tough one. So unfortunately, Western traditional medicine doesn't receive a lot of training in this area, and I am trained that way. And I've taken over 100 hours of continuing education to be certified in this type of care. So providers are getting a little more in tune with it and are a little more open to it, but most of them are not comfortable enough with prescribing and dealing with it. And so absolutely, I will work with your general providers. I still am a general provider on a regular basis as well. And so it goes hand in hand. Obviously, your general providers are going to be the ones treating your diabetes, your cardiovascular disease, your cholesterol issues. And hopefully, when we can get those things under control or prevent those type of diseases, they will be thankful for that as well.
And then as far as the insurance landscape over the next 5, 10, 15 years, how acceptable is this therapy?
Depends where you're at with it. If you are postmenopausal or we can prove in a lab value that you have low testosterone, sometimes they will pay for the medicine. If they won't pay for it, then we offer it in a compounded medicine made by one of the pharmacies or a pharmacy somewhere. And they don't pay for that. You can still get your labs done through insurance if they'll cover it. It just is kind of up to them. Some do it really good, some don't. I do expect this to start growing as far as insurance goes because they're seeing a lot of this, and I think they're seeing that they're losing money when it comes to compounding, and they don't like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So we'll open it up to the audience. Does anybody from the audience have a question for her? Well, then let's thank Julie Snyder again. Austin, Aaron, and Jackie Webster with Webster Mycology.
Hi, I'm Austin Webster, the owner and manager of Webster Mycology. And it's not just me, I also have my dad, Errol Webster, who's the vice president, and my mom, Jackie Webster, who's the treasurer. And currently, I am full-time working at this, and I love doing it with definitely all my heart. A big problem, and it's quite a sad problem, is that there is a limited availability of mushrooms. There really isn't much knowledge either about them. The only mushrooms that I've talked to other people about are the white buttons, portobellos, and maybe shiitakes that they've seen on the internet. But there's definitely a wide array of mushrooms, and especially gourmet mushrooms, like that I grow myself, that have a steady supply of mushrooms at the high quality that you would get from any farm. Another problem is that the mushrooms in the store, those are the problem. Those are disgusting. They're done on manure, full of preservatives, and you're supporting overseas. You're not supporting local like you would do with me. I offer over 18 different varieties. I pick fresh daily, and I send out fresh daily. Our mushrooms are mainly grown on hardwood, like oak and soybean pole. And as well, there's a wide range of health benefits to mushrooms, specifically lion's meat, which is known as the brain boosting mushroom. Over the year and a half that we have been open, we have come up with many different products. Of course, our fresh mushrooms. We also have our medicinal mushroom chocolate bars, which are right there, which has our fresh lion's mane in it. We also have our medicinal mushroom coffee, our seasonings, which have been well received and well reviewed. Everyone seems to love the seasonings that me and my parents have specifically come up with. We also are going to be launching in October some at-home cultivation kits that you can grow mushrooms at home. We also are doing some educational resources. We do workshops, culinary collaborations, and we have a bunch of consumer awareness initiatives. Our customers, definitely our best and my personal most favorite ones, are the locals. The people that walk in, you can give a smile to, and you can chat up for a little while. Those are my favorite. And definitely our easiest ones are our chefs and restaurants, specifically the ones in Park City. They order mushrooms, we deliver the mushrooms, and we get paid. And our largest customer, which is our US Foods, which we actually just signed on back in June, and definitely the ink is still wet. We're going to be receiving orders in August. But they serve all the way from Cedar City all the way up to Jackson Hole and everything in between. A lot of our market, we have acquired a lot of help through local health advocates, social media influencers, and our trade shows, specifically the Youth Agriculture Month that we did back in May, where a whole bunch of 3rd and 4th graders came up, said hi, learned about the business aspects of it, and as well just wanted to just learn about mushrooms. A lot of our the US Foods that we just signed on with, there's a lot of growth potential with that. We're going to be mainly focusing on just the restaurants right now, but there is the option to grow into grocery stores like Harmon's, Lee's, anything in the Utah area from Cedar City up to Jackson Hole. And we're not only scalable through Utah, we can go into anything in Wyoming, anything in Colorado, and anything in Idaho with US Foods. A lot of our competition, our biggest competitor right now is Intermountain Gourmet, and they are grown on hardwood, but they are only servicing Harmon's. So we can swoop in and get a whole bunch of the restaurants that they left behind to just focus on Harmon's. A lot of things with us is all of our mushrooms are grown on hardwood, so we're Intermountain Gourmets, and with us you are always greeted with a smile. Anytime you walk in, me or my employees will always give you the biggest smile in the world. And we are proud to say that we are farm to table fresh. It comes to us, or it comes from us directly to you into any dish you guys want. We also have a wide variety. We also do specialty mushroom products, like when I was saying earlier about the lion's mane and the seasonings. We also offer local delivery, and as well we give back to the community anywhere we can. A lot of our marketing strategy is through collaborations, especially with chefs, and we are currently looking into getting in a couple influencers to promote us and our products nationally. And of course, our distributors. We also are going to be going into more workshops, specifically widening our range to Utah workshops, and we're going to be starting classes hopefully by the end of next year with BOCES. And another thing that we're going to be doing is leveraging our customer testimonials or customer reviews, so that everyone that walks in can see how well received our products are. A lot of our sales strategy, once they get to us, or once we can get them to us, is we're going to be providing a lot of product demonstrations, offer initiatives. Like, for example, what we have right now is first-time customers that come into the shop get 15% off. We're also going to be offering samples, like taste testing booths at farmers markets, and of course, just simply asking for the sale. Would you like to place an order today? And of course, always follow up, especially with chefs, because they're busy, but if we get their contact, we can follow up and get that final leveraged customer. A lot of our revenue channel is going to be US Foods. That's going to be our biggest company, and that's where all of our fresh stuff is going to go. Or at least the majority of it, I would say 90% of it's going to go. And 10% is going to be for our locals and farmers markets, bringing in about 3,000 a month, plus or minus about 500, depending on the week and how busy or how sunny it is. And we have all of our product net revenue there. Our fresh mushrooms are $16 a pound, chocolate bars are $5.99, seasonings are $5.99, and of course we also have microgreens, elevation coffee, and at-home grow kits. This is our cash flow sheet. This is projected for the next 3 years. It's pretty linear, it's pretty smooth, but there are a couple little bumps in it where after year 1 and year 2, we are going to be expanding our things with US Foods, expanding them into the products or expanding into grocery stores. And it's hard to see right here, but in that time as well, we're going to be getting a couple more employees. So a little recap from February when we started to today. We have established a facility, which we are just currently leasing right now. We've launched our products. We've built up a customer base. We also won the Jumpstart grant. We have 6 part-time employees and 2 full-time owners, which is me and our lovely mom. And our timeline is going to start in August, which is when we're going to be starting to receive orders from US Foods. In October, we're going to be launching our at-home grow kits. In November, we're going to be developing educational initiatives for next year for BOCES. And of course, the scale of the employee base, probably from about 6 to 8 to cover the expansion to US Foods. And beginning next year, we're going to be expanding our market reach, because right now we are only about 100 miles as the crow flies from here without US Foods. We're planning on expanding probably about to 200 to 300 miles, expand more into Colorado and Idaho. And as well, by hoping to streamline more of our production value and get our 3rd-time full-time owner, which is my dad. And in March, we're going to be hopefully providing more products to US Foods. Hire a full-time manager in December 2024. I'm currently the full-time manager, but I would love to hire that out so that I can focus on expanding instead of keeping the company running. And of course, in April 2025, hopefully going to acquire a 2nd distributor, and ending December as we're going to be making plans to expand into a facility that we will own. Again, I wanted to thank the judges. You guys are awesome, great listeners, and taking the time to come listen to me specifically, and everyone here. And thanks everyone else for coming. You guys are awesome. Any questions at all?
Thank you.
much area do you need to grow right now? As far as what your demand is right now, are you at max, or do you need to, could you grow more where you're currently at?
We can definitely grow more. We have 2 12 by 12 foot grow rooms, and we have another one that's an 8 by 12. And every 12 by 12 tent, we can push about 1,200 pounds of mushrooms up. So 2,400 plus the half tent, and that's about 3,000 pounds a week that we can push up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, great job. I bought your product,
Yes.
and when I Googled, I was really surprised at the health benefits that can be derived from your product. And I think that is something that could be a real huge marketing tool for you, because I did not know and did not understand that of the health benefits for that. So when you talked about influencers, what does that mean?
So getting people that have already a following on social media, people that have a wide range of audience that we initially couldn't reach, we're going to be sending products to them, giving them a little kickback for showing it, of course, and then they're going to expand it to their audience, and hopefully we'll get more and more sales from them.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm excited for the homegrown cakes.
It's coming in October.
Mine's less of a, more of a comment than a question, just because I was with Jumpstart and saw you there. So congratulations. I mean, this guy's been at all of the events and each of the classes, and just, you can tell by the work you've done. So congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the judges? We'll open it up to the audience.
Hi, I also understand the nutritional value of the mushrooms to help people with all kind of diseases and whatnot. I think when you present, it would be a good idea to put a little tidbit in what the health benefits would be.
Okay.
And I'm extremely excited to have you in our community.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gonna be here for a long time, that's for sure.
What do you do with all the mushrooms that don't get sold, like while they're still fresh?
So yes, there is a couple things. We are proud to say that we don't have any waste. Any mushrooms that don't sell or that we don't give to our chefs, we actually dehydrate, powderize, and that's what goes into our specialty products. And as well, all of the blocks that the mushrooms grow off of, the hardwood, the soybean hull, none of that goes to waste, none of that gets thrown away. We have 2 companies, Bison Prairie Farms and Good to Grow Farms here locally, that we donate all of our blocks to.
Any other questions? So let's thank Webster Mycology. And next up is Tico and Morgan Heaps from 5 Mile Meats.
All right, we are 5 Mile Meats. My name is Tico Heaps. This is my husband Morgan Heaps. We live in Evanston. And I've lived here most of my life. I grew up here as a kid. And I've been part of the farmers market here in town. I've noticed the trend of people wanting to know where their food comes from, people wanting to focus on local, on keeping things in the community. And then 3 years ago, everybody wanted to know where their food came from because there was no food in the stores, there was no meat in the stores. The COVID pandemic had upset the whole food chain, and suddenly everybody wanted to know where their food came from. And then memes like this started popping up on Facebook, where, you know, it's so easy to get meat. All these ranchers, which is true, we had ranchers all around us, plenty of beef to be had. And all you have to do is schedule at the butcher, take that beef to a butcher, and you've got your freezer full of meat, which sounds great. And I love the sound of that. I'm a ranch kid. I love people coming to get meat from the ranch, but the butcher shops were packed. They had no openings. They had wait lists 2 years long. So all these people are wanting meat, all these people with animals wanting to sell them, but there was no way to bridge that gap.
So we wanted to bridge that gap, and so our solution is to bring a local butcher shop back to Evanston. It's been probably nearly a decade since we had one with Dave's Meats, and we missed him, and we missed that butcher shop, and we thought maybe it was time to step in and do that. We want to come in and do custom beef, lamb, and pork, and I know the first question is going to be, are you going to do wild game? And we are not going to focus on wild game. We want to focus mainly on what we can produce from the ranchers here locally. Again, so beef, lamb, and pork, we have a lot of people that are interested in getting beef in. We've talked to ranchers as well that we have, Uinta County does have a lot of sheep in the area, and we have talked to ranchers there that want to get their land so that we can get local meat to the people in the community of Evanston. So with that, we want to provide a retail store. A lot of butcher shops don't provide a retail store, and we would like to provide that so that you can get local meat that was raised right here in Uinta County, and you can come to the retail store and get that beef, lamb, and pork. Uinta County is not a big area that does pork. There's not a lot of hogs and swine here, but there are a few locals that raise those, and we'd like to be able to bridge that gap for those producers.
So why us? Evanston does not have a butcher shop. It's kind of crazy to realize that. And Bridge Valley has a few, but we just don't. So we need one here in Evanston. I throw out local a lot. I love to keep it local. I'm also local. I'm locally grown. I grew up south of town on a ranch. That's where I live. We were raising our kids there. That's where we plan to stay. So we're here for the long haul. Knowledge of industry. I went to school in Laramie for meat science. I learned butchering there, and I've also spent some time working at a butcher shop down in Ogden. With being a rancher and a ranch kid, I have a connection with the local ranchers, especially south of town. All the ranchers are asking me constantly when we're going to get this open and when we're going to get this going. So we've got that connection with ranchers where we can kind of bridge the gap with the consumers and get some beef in. Our customers primarily will be those ranchers. Most ranchers will raise a beef or two for their own family. They'll also raise some to sell to family and friends. So they'll be a huge part of our customer base. And then those freezer fillers who will buy from the ranchers and take their animal to the butcher shop. But then we'll also be doing the local meat consumers that don't have a freezer for a whole beef or a half a beef, that just want to buy by the cut or in smaller bunches like that.
So Tico just talked about the customers and where are they going to come from. So our markets are the Evanston area. So you've got the Almy area, Yellow Creek, Hilliard, south of town to the Utah border, north to Cokeville and Kemmer, and then west to Hennifer, Colville, and Rich County. In these areas, there aren't many butcher shops there. Cokeville is close to Star Valley, and they do have one there. But a void that we would like to fill is that a lot of these butcher shops
closed during hunting season. And that's one of the reasons why we don't want to focus on wild game, is we want to stay open for the rancher. When hunting season comes around, it's almost a prime time to be butchering your own beef, because they're coming off the summer range, they're coming off great grass, and the butcher shops are closing so that they can deal with wild game. But we want to be open so that we're ready to butcher in August, September, and October, as those beef really are ready and at a good prime time to butcher. Rich County, again, they have there's a lot of ranches in Rich County as well, a lot of beef and cattle in that area. And I can see it expanding up into Lake Town and Garden City. There's no butchers up there, and so we have a pretty big area that we can cover. We're going to, western Uinta County, because there are a few butcher shops already in the valley, so they're covering that east side, and we'll grab this west side over in Evanston and Northland to the west of us, to the Wasatch area.
So I've chosen a few of the closer competitors to compare against. We've got High Country Meats in Bridger Valley, Bingham's in Morgan, Utah, and Henderson's over in Erie. So Bingham's have put on there, it's got a really great retail shop. It's got the kind of retail shop that I would like to have. They don't have a real strong slaughter side. They don't have an in-house slaughter. You can't drop your animal off there. And they're kind of hard to get into. But High Country and Henderson's, they both have live animal drop-off. Also, we will. Our prices are right in there with them, and they all do the beef, pork, and lamb. The big difference here is the inspection. So most butcher shops that you find in Wyoming are called custom exempt, and they don't have to have USDA inspection on every animal. They just have to have a shop that can pass inspection. But that means you can't sell retail. So in order to sell retail in the retail shop, we'll need that USDA inspection on our animals. So that is our goal down the line, is to get that USDA inspection. As far as marketing, word of mouth will be huge. The ranchers, like I said, are already asking about it. We get a question almost every week about how long we're going to be taking on this. As soon as that word goes out, we should get quite a few ranchers. We will work on the social media presence for the retail shop mostly, to try to get people in town, and also people coming through from Utah, coming through to camp or whatever. We'd like to snag them on their way through. KSL Classifieds is a great place to advertise, as well as My Local Radio, and roadside signage, where we're building is right off of Highway 150, south of town, so should also be able to snag some of those weekend campers and travelers through. Our sales strategy, so is kind of two prongs. So we offer the service to the livestock owners that bring in their whole animal, we cut it up, we wrap it, and we give it back to them. We never own the animal. We just provide the service for them. But then in the retail shop, that would be an animal that we own that we're selling by the cut. And as I said, that requires the inspection.
So we have a couple revenue models. The first one is the cut and wrap that Pico was talking about. When we first start, we want to be set up to be able to do 3 beef a day with the employees that we'll have hired. And so per month, that would bring in $27,000, and after wages and everything, that would be a net of just $3,300. With this butcher shop though, and as we expand, we're able to do 5 beef a day, but our expenses don't go up that much. We'll have to hire another employee or two, and then we'll have the cut and wrap, the plastic and the paper that goes with it. But other than that, the lease that we'll be paying on the building is going to be the same. The utilities and all that's going to be the same. So really, we're going to see a greater margin in our profits. So after each month, we'll be looking at closer to $16,000 of income because all of those other expenses have already been paid. On the other side, the retail shop, we put some numbers together just real quick. So
Take, for example, if you have a 1,000-pound steer, and after that, you get about 600 pounds of carcass weight and then 400 pounds of meat. So if you start with a 1,000-pound critter, you basically get 400 pounds of meat off of that. And when you break that down, you get hamburger and your T-bone steaks and all those different cuts. Well, those cuts cost different. You know, you go to the supermarket, you're paying X amount for hamburger, but you're paying $20 or $30 for a good steak. But that all averages out to about $10. And when you think about 400 pounds of meat and that $10, you're looking at $4,000 for each critter that you're butchering. Well, if we're buying that animal, we have to pay the live weight, and so that's going to cost us about $1,500. And after a USDA inspection and the slaughter of $400, we're profiting over $2,000 per critter that we're butchering, and that's just the retail shop. Now, we don't know at this point how popular the retail shop is going to be, so we can't give a monthly or a yearly gross amount of what we're going to bring in, but for each animal that we slaughter for retail, we're looking at an extra $2,000 on top of what we've done with the cut and wrap for our ranchers. So that cash flow model, I kind of already explained it, but with our cash inflow, our expenses and everything stay the same. But over the years, that cash flow, it goes up because we're able to do 5 beef a day rather than 3, and that's what really starts to add up for us.
Okay, here we have our timeline. So we have been meeting with a contractor that says construction can begin this fall. So our first thing on the timeline is construction beginning October of 23. He says should be done spring of 2024. So I said March because that's the first month of spring. So spring 2024, 5 Mile Meats opens, first employees are hired, start advertising, start getting some ranchers in there. We're going to be limited in how many beef we can do by how many employees we can find, basically. So the more employees we can find that can do this job, the more meat we can push through. So 3 to 4 employees would be great starting out. Our goal would be for August of 2024 to be ready for the county fair junior livestock sale. Because that's a great chance to get some business, great chance to get our name out there and to get some animals in our cooler. In June of 2025, we'd like to have our 5th employee hired and start working towards our optimum goals. So in September of 2026, I have reaching our full potential of 1,000 beef carcasses a month. We use, or not 1,000, oh my gosh, 100. Wow. No, I have to sleep. Sorry. So we use beef as our baseline because that is what we have the most of around here, and it's just easier to figure. There will be pork and lamb thrown in there and different things like that. Our progress, we have most of the equipment we bought from a shop in Idaho that was closing its doors, but they were missing the slaughter equipment. So that's the equipment that we're still needing funding for. We're waiting on the construction estimate to come back. We just have finalized the floor plans, and the projected opening is in the spring. And that is all that we have. Let me answer any questions.
Thank you. Will you explain the USDA process a little more?
Yes, so for the USDA inspection and the other butcher shop, I'll explain it a little more too, but they want every animal to be inspected as it comes in. They want to make sure it's not sick. As it's slaughtered, they want to make sure that everything is clean and good, and then they'll put a stamp on it as it goes into the cooler that says it's been inspected. So in order to sell retail, every single carcass needs to have that stamp that it has been inspected as it went through that whole process. Where custom exempt, they'll come in once a year, look around, make sure there's nothing gross or bad, and they'll say, yes, you're good for the year. And then you can just processed animals through there. So the USDA, they want to know every single animal is healthy and is good. So that's a different thing for that.
Yeah, and that's for the retail side.
Yes.
Okay. And then how often do you have those?
To start out, it would probably be like once a month, have them come in and just inspect what we're doing that day. As we grow or as we get more demand, we would bring in. Or conversely, if the butcher shop tonight, the production paradise, the producer's paradise, they're planning on doing USDA inspection, and so if they, when we're first starting out, if they'll do a couple for us a month, then that would be really great too. That as long as that animal has that inspection, then we can sell it in retail.
Okay, thank you.
I'm excited. Couple questions for you. I think you answered one of my questions. To do 5 cows a day or beefs a day, you need 5 employees, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And then the accessory products, are you you want a full retail store, what's like Bingham's has, or other retail stores for this? Are you going to do any processed meats? Are you going to do any hams? Are you plans on doing any
Hams, yeah.
jerkies, those types of things to sell over the counter? Or
I would like to, yes. So with the jerky, we would have to get an inspected animal and turn it into jerky, but I think it's a lot of jerky, especially in the campers and stuff. And yes, like Bingham's retail store, in just production and just doing people's pork, we would be making ham and bacon and stuff like that. But to sell in the retail store, just what I've noticed with Bingham's, they can't crank out enough bacon to cover how much bacon is going out of there. So, I mean, they order it in from larger places.
and then hours of operation. I know a lot of travelers, if you're trying to get 150, right, 150 South campers, are you be open Saturdays, Sundays, those types of things, or do you
So we've thought,
9 to
yeah,
5, Monday through Friday?
we've thought about that, and on those Fridays and Saturdays, it would probably have to stay open. If the cut and wrap's not open, we could have somebody there just for that retail side. Even if we're not doing the cut and wrap in the back, we'd have somebody for the retail.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good job, very interesting. You're going to start construction in the spring,
No, in the fall.
in the fall, this fall?
This fall.
Okay, all right. So how many buildings will it be?
So it'll be one building, approximately 100 by 45, and that allows for a kill floor in the back, and then takes you through the process, and up front is the retail. So we're basing it off of a good friend that has a butcher shop. We basically took his plan, but he doesn't have a retail shop, so we added 25 feet on it to adjust for the kill floor and for the retail shop.
Okay, and so how much acreage is there?
Just over an acre.
Just over an acre? Okay, and so how many live animals will you have on site at one time?
So we will be able to have corrals in the back to hold a few overnight, so that those ranchers could bring them back or bring them by in the afternoon, the day before slaughter day. So the next day they'd be able to be slaughtered and then hung in the cooler, and then there they hang for a week or so before the actual processing of the meat.
Right, okay. And then help me a little bit with the USDA. So who pays to have that done? Who do you pay?
We pay for a USDA inspector to come to the plant.
Okay, and my understanding is those aren't easy to find.
They're not, no. And you can do USDA inspected or you can do state inspected. State inspection in Wyoming is a little easier to get to you. The only difference between the USDA and the state is anything that's inspected by the state inspector has to stay within Wyoming. So we can't ship or anything over state lines. So any of those that you see that you buy meat online, it has to be USDA that you're having your meat shipped to you. But if you're selling to somebody here local, we could get a state inspector in to inspect that beef, and we could to sell it locally here.
Okay.
It is difficult.
Let's thank 5 Mill Meat. is Lance Norris from Dare to Be Safe.
All right, yeah. All right, good evening, everybody, and thanks for being here. Thanks for coming out to support each of us. We really appreciate it. I know a lot of effort has gone into it. And as you can tell, I think the future of the economic status in Uinta County is pretty bright. I'm grateful for the ingenuity that's here tonight and the entrepreneurial spirit that's here. So, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that when surveyed, most people say that public speaking is their greatest fear. So I guess that's why at funerals, most people would rather be in the casket than delivering the eulogy. So anyways, my name's Lance Norris. My wife and I started our own business back in January. And I'm a certified safety professional. I've been a certified safety professional since 2017. I've been in the industry and doing what I do since 2009. So I've got some experience at this. But my experience, really, the benefit of my experience has been going in and out of all the different companies. I've seen the way that a lot of the big companies operate, and it's been fun for me to go in and see their safety cultures. And culture's a real thing. When you go into businesses, when you go into different organizations, there's a different feel from one place to the next. And it's fun for me to see. Anyways, so when we talked about starting our own business, we thought, okay, what's the problem? What are we going to set out to do, and how are we going to do it? So the first thing, there's over 5,200, there's almost 5,200 workplace fatalities every year in the United States. That's people showing up to work and not going home at the end of the day. There's 2.6 million non-fatal workplace injuries. And that has a cost. The economic cost I'll talk about in a minute. But the cost to families is where it really matters, right? And that's a provider not being able to provide if they have those workplace injuries and illnesses. It's costing the United States $170 billion a year, the industries. And to an employer, so if you're an employer and you have an employee that gets hurt on the job, the average cost of that is $38,000 to the employer. So with a 10% profit margin, you'd have to do $380,000 in sales just to break even after the cost of an OSHA recordable incident. That's huge. That's a huge impact on a company. And every employer in the United States is subject, unless you're a mine, every employer in the United States is subject to regulations put forth by OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. They have a general duty clause that says every employer must provide a safe and healthful workplace for their employees. And so that's a big task, a really big task. So there's about 62 million workers in the United States. Of those nearly 62 million, 46%, just over 46% of those, work for small businesses, work for small employers. They don't work for the large companies that have safety departments, that have training departments, and have the resources to provide the equipment and the tools necessary for people to do their job safely. And so that's the problem that we're looking at as we come into this. Another problem we see that's a little closer to home and a little more specific is the construction is picking up. If you haven't been by the hotels lately, there's a lot of construction activity going on, not only in Uinta County, but in Lincoln County and in Sweetwater County. Genesis is doing a large project that's brought in a lot of workers. ExxonMobil's doing a large project that's brought in a lot of workers. There's turnarounds going on in the oil and gas field. So with that, there's a need to help these smaller employers meet their duty to OSHA, their obligation under the law, and also to meet their clients' expectations and requirements, which is a big feat. So how are we going to do that? We provide instructor-led training, and so that's a big way we do it. It's just getting out there and helping people get the knowledge that they need. There's a quote that I use all the time in training: "Oh, how your rewards would exceed tons of gold if you would learn all of the good things from experience and all of the bad from just being told." And when it comes down to it, that's really what safety training is about. I tell the people that I train, we're here today to talk about things that got other people hurt and made it so they couldn't go home. And you have the benefit, I have the benefit of learning from their previous mistakes so that we don't have to repeat those. And another thing that is on our list to do, we're not able to do it quite yet, but it is computer-based training. Because there's a lot of opportunity with computer-based training, and I'll talk about that again in just a minute. Another one is operator qualifications. Anybody doing work on a pipeline in the United States has to be OQ qualified. And that's a PHMSA, another acronym, but it's the Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. And they require that everybody working on the pipeline system is qualified. And so somebody has to go out and evaluate that. And over my career, I've been able to acquire the qualifications to do those OQs. And in the last 10 days, I've been from Minnesota to Idaho to Utah and back here to Wyoming to do those OQ qualifications. And then another thing that's not quite, we're not quite there yet, but we hope to get there, and it's on our target, is safety equipment rental. Again, like I mentioned, a lot of those smaller businesses aren't going to have the resources to provide a $2,500 piece of fall protection equipment or a $1,200 gas monitor. And so when they come in for a short 2 or 3 day job or even longer term, we hope to be able to rent some of that to them so that they can have their employees out there doing what they need to do safely. What we find is when they can't afford it, when they don't have the resources, these small businesses, they end up cutting that corner and putting somebody at risk. And so we hope that our services can help prevent that kind of behavior. So services, another thing that's kept us going so far this year is consulting. We're able to go in and look at a company's safety program, their safety manual, their policies, their procedures, their training matrix, things like that. The International Standards Organization, ISO 45001, sets forth some specific standards for businesses and best work practices. And so we have the ability to go in and help companies rise to those standards and then provide those long-term for their employees. And then employee compliance. So some of the things on the screen that you see at the top is audiometric testing. I'm a certified occupational hearing conservationist. Doesn't mean much to you, but it means I can go out and do hearing tests. And so with that, we've got some work coming up in September where we'll do a lot of that. We have drug and alcohol testing. Employees have to meet these things, these standards. They have to be pre-qualified to go out and do work. And then the next one is fit testing. And about every third day, I turn down somebody for fit testing. And I refer them to a couple other places, but we have a lot of potential and the ability to do fit testing. That's one of the things that we would be doing with the grant money, is using it to help us get a fit test machine, because they are expensive. And our customers, I mean, like I said, we can do pipeline, we can help with mining. Mining's been really good to us this year. We can help in the oil and gas industry, power distribution, and construction. So year to date so far, we've acquired 25 customers that we've been working with. I've been in front of and trained 950 employees this year. I added it up the other day. And we have 4 employees working with us right now. And so we do, after we do a training, we do a customer survey. Not everybody responds, but we've had 33 responses. and they've been positive. So we want to make sure we're meeting our customers' needs long term. We did some market research as we set out on this path to see what our potential is and how we can meet that potential. And so you can see under the state flags the number of customers, and these are customers specifically serving the industries that I showed on the previous slide. They're serving in the mining industry, they're serving in the pipeline industry. And so we really drilled down on the customers that we have the potential to help and to service. And then, as you can see in Utah, there's over 9,000. In Wyoming, there's over 2,000. And United States, we left a question mark under there. Because of that computer-based training and virtual lab training, we have the potential to really expand that. And I don't know what the limit is at that point. Because since COVID, both MSHA and OSHA have loosened up their restrictions on virtual lead training. And so now we have the potential to do virtual lead training. Okay, so as we look at our competition, yeah, we have competition out there. The community colleges do a great job and they provide a great service for our community. But they're pretty limited to instructor-led training. You go to their facility and they do it there. Freelance consultants will travel around, but they're limited in what they're able to provide. We're able to provide a lot of different services, and our goal is to provide it all under one roof so that our customers keep making one call, keep knowing that they can come back to us and rely on us to get it done. And then marketing. So we're getting out there in social media. We're trying to gain some momentum. And we've been working with some marketing people to help us do that, and our future's bright there. We really hope that we can make that grow as we move forward here, because we're going to depend on social media to really help us get the word out there about those virtual lead trainings that I'm talking about. As we build our social media presence, we'll be able to build that clientele for those virtual lead trainings. Okay, and then as we look at ourselves. So really, how do we get customers? So far, most of our customers have been referred to us. It's all been word of mouth. And I'm very grateful for that and for the support that we've had since we started our business. But also, some of those business partners that I showed on an earlier slide, VeriForce and NCCER and Industrial Training Services, ITS, we've been able to be posted on their website through their yellow pages. So that's how we landed the job in Minnesota, and that's how we got some of the work in Idaho. And so it's been great for us. It's really helped us gain some momentum. But we also do have a website. Okay, our revenue model, I mean, we have those employee compliance things like audiometric testing, fit testing, drug and alcohol testing. When somebody comes in, we can collect their drug and alcohol test. And so those things are single point of sale. It's a one-time deal. But the benefit is they do have expiration dates. And so they have to come back again. But they have to go to somebody again. We hope we do a good enough job that they'll choose us next year or 2 years when their training expires. And then service agreements. Our goal is to have service agreements. Right now we have 5 long-term service agreements where we're working with customers and providing for them. So when we look at cash flow, like I said, we started in January. So from January to July, those are actual numbers. That's what we've been doing so far. And so, like I said, we just brought on a couple of employees. That's helping us take that trend upward. Because our costs, I mean, yeah, labor costs are going up with that, as you can see. But like our facility and our insurance, and some of those costs aren't going up as drastically as our labor is. So what does the future look like for Dare to Be Safe? And as we look into the future, we've had a great start so far. We've got our licensing, got our business going, got some of the social media going, got some of the website going, and that kind of thing. But as we go into the future, we're looking for equipment acquisition. We want to, like I said, that rental equipment we need to get. We want to launch an online program soon. And we hope to do that really early next year, early 2024. and then hire some support staff to help us keep this momentum going. So in closing, I just want to say that we're here to stay. My wife and I are both from this area, grew up in Rich County, and this is where we've chosen to raise our family because we love this community. And we're qualified to do what we do. We have plans to grow, and I really don't believe that. I think the only limits we put on our growth are the ones we put on ourselves, right? And so I think we have a lot of potential to grow. And then, we're committed to paying it forward. We're grateful for everything that we've been blessed with to this point, and we plan to continue to carry it forward. So with that, I'll take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. So as you continue to grow, you talk about these qualifications that you have. What's the timing for new employees to get those, and what does that kind of succession plan look like as you add more staff?
So, great question. So all of the qualifications I've had took a long time to get. But like to provide training, they don't need to have a CSP. And so it's a lot quicker time frame to get somebody that. For OSHA training, it's different for each one, but for OSHA training, for example, if they've been in the industry for a year and they have some teaching experience, some training experience, OSHA will usually approve them to go through their class, which they have 2-week-long courses that they'd have to go through at that point. And so that would help them get there. The pipeline industry, if they came to me with 3 years of experience and some good references, we could get that going pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Great job, Lance. Couple quick questions. You said you were focused on the smaller companies, the smaller employers. Is there anything that OSHA requires to have training be an outside? Does that make sense? Outside of their instead of it being employed by Chevron, they've got safety people. But does OSHA require somebody on the outside to certify that they're compliant? Is what I'm asking.
No, they don't. Unless you're a crane operator. There's a couple of specific trades where there would be some application. They're electricians. There would be some specific things, but as far as just in general, no. They wouldn't be required to. Although in the pipeline industry, they really recommend that your qualifications come from third party. It adds more integrity to the process of evaluating people working on the pipeline.
Instead of self-reporting or self-training and outside training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But great question.
My question, I've got a couple. Where do you do the trainings at?
So, great question. We travel, we're flexible. So, I've done some at Western Wyoming Community College over Green River. We do have a facility at the old Elkhorn office, and so we're renting their conference room and a couple of offices in the front of that building. I have training going on today and tomorrow there, and so we're doing that. But we're able to travel and willing to travel to companies' facilities. And I've done a lot of training for the big companies so far this year. They've been really good to me. But my focus is the smaller companies just because of their limited resources.
Right. And correct me if I missed it, but you have, I think you said 5 under contract now?
Yeah, 5 contracts. Yeah, 5 service agreements.
What is your optimum? Where do you want to be with that type of?
So 5 made it so I had to bring on another employee, which is great. That's what I want to do. And so it all depends on the terms of the contract. What that number looks like. Yeah. It's more based on a sales number for the month, that making sure I can more than break even, right? And so yeah.
Great.
Do we have time for one question from an audience member?
This is a plan. planted by my wife.
Have you ever been published in a magazine?
I have, yes. So in Energy CIO, I've been published. I published an article a couple of years ago. Yep.
Or won any awards?
Yes to that, too. See, it helps to have family. Thank you.
Time for maybe a really quick question. Oh, yes, we don't. Let's move on. So now we'll adjourn for a break. There are some goodies in the lobby. And so let's meet back here at about 7:10. Paradise with Casey, Jake, and Chet Major.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Casey Major. These are my brothers, Jake and Chad. I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. I am one of the managing partners of the Producers Paradise Meat Company. Our goal is to be a USDA inspected facility in Lyman. My role is the accountant and controller. I come from an accounting background. That is what I do best.
My name is Jake. We're the younger brothers. I'm the next youngest. I come from a marketing and sales background. I have an agribusiness and accounting degree from Utah State. I'll be handling getting the meat into the processing facility and getting it distributed out of the processing facility.
And my name is Chet Major. I'm the youngest of these three and these two. And my job in this whole deal is to be the muscle. And I completed a 900-hour course at Bridgeland Technology College and got certified to cut meat. So I will be on the boots on the floor every day and cutting the beef as they come in.
Since you judges have asked some questions about this, we're going to provide some clarification. When it comes to processing meat, there's 3 categories that you process under. One is USDA inspected. That means you've got a USDA inspector there all day whenever you're killing, and they're supposed to be there every day during the processing time. Our local USDA office is out of Denver. They actually hire an inspector to come and work for it at your facility. It's assigned to your facility. You getting 40 hours a week at no cost. If you go over 40 hours, you pay an hourly rate. And if you want them to grade it, so they want to stamp it prime, choice, utility, select, you pay for that as well. But to actually have the inspector facility doesn't cost you anything for the inspector, but the paperwork that comes along with it we actually plan for take an additional employee to handle that. So that's what USDA Inspected does. It allows you to kill individual beef, to sell it as a retail cut, to sell it across state lines. The other inspection process is a Wyoming state inspection. This has a Wyoming state inspector. It's basically the same process as USDA, but it's a Wyoming employee, state Wyoming Department of Ag employee. This does not allow you to sell meat across state lines. And then what most producers are operating as is under a custom exempt. Funny thing on this, so I, just for fun, earlier today pulled up Facebook and looked up meat for sale locally, just within the area. The bulk of the beef I saw is actually marked as not for sale logo on it. So a lot of beef being sold is not being sold legally because of the way that the custom exempt does. It actually requires you to own the animal live and process for yourself. Okay, so that kind of illustrates the problem. This all came back from COVID originally. We're all cattle producers. We grew up with cattle, raising them. There's a point in time during COVID where for us to get our beef to a USDA inspected facility was a 24-hour or 24-month wait. And our beef is market ready at 15 to 16 months. So we literally were scheduling kill dates months before the animals were even born. It was a nightmare. So we said, hey, we've got some expertise here. We're going to work and help solve this problem. Because when we look at Uinta County is cattle country. This is according to the USDA Agriculture Census. We had 403 farms. Only 4% of farms reported selling directly to the consumer. Why? We don't have a USDA inspected facility, so to do it legally, do it the right way, we had to either send it, the closest facility was in Tooele, at Tooele Valley Meats. A lot of beef got sent to Tires up in Lewiston, some got sent to Sweetwater, or not Sweetwater, to Star Valley Meats, and a lot got sent to Laramie to 307 Meats. Those were our closest USDA inspected facility. There's some up in Riverton as well. And that's, I think, been the biggest reason why, we raise a lot of cattle, but there's not a lot of cattle being processed here. So that is our solution, is to build a USDA facility. From day one, we're going to be inspected with a capacity to process 25 animals a week. We're going to help producers who want to sell their own beef. We also have a unique thing we're going to be doing with profit sharing. Basically, what we're going to allow is if ranchers want to bring the beef and we provide the marketing and sell it for them, we're actually going to profit share a little bit on it, so we don't actually have to pay the upfront, buy the beef, and then have to hold that, cash flow that. We say, hey, if they're willing to let us pay them once the beef is sold, we're going to share a little bit of the profits with them.
So on that 4% in the county started direct their marketing to their consumers, you know, it includes like the Beck family up in Lone Tree. The other 96%, they are our best partners in Uinta County. You know, we don't just want to have a successful business, we want to extend that to help producers keep their beef here locally and keep the profits here locally for each individual producer. So out of a survey that Utah State did, they are looking at consumers within 100 miles of Utah State, so we're kind of in that area. You know, there's 3 million people within 100 miles of Evanston. 2/3 say that they would pay more if they knew where the beef came from, as opposed to buying at Walmart or a supermarket. And then a third, so of that 2/3, half of those people said, hey, we'll pay a premium for that beef. So, you know, out of that 3 million people, if we can capture 1 million people that are willing to pay a premium on beef, not only does it help our business be successful, but it also helps producers here in Uinta County be successful and bring in additional revenue into their business.
So 5 Mile Meats, they kind of covered this a little bit, but we just kind of took it a little further to like Tooele Valley and the Star Valley Meats in Afton. And the ones local in Bridger Valley, they're local, but they don't do USDA inspection. And you know that, like Casey said, that serves a problem if you're trying to sell meat, if you're not selling it legally. You know, you gotta do it through a state or USDA inspected facility to do that. And you know, there's not one here. The closest one is in Tooele and Afton. And you know, I don't want to have to drive a load of fat steers all that way if we can just have one here in the valley. And you know, it just shows that if we keep things local, and like Jake was saying, if we can get the producers to kind of, instead of just shipping their calves off when they're weaned, because that's the most money, they can make more money that way, instead of having to ship them, you know, 4 or 5 hours away to the USDA inspected facility, if they can just ship them 10 miles down the road, it'd be more ought to keep them in the feedlot and grow them and then sell them themselves, and that will make them the most money.
As far as the marketing goes, we'll do a combination of multiple things, including online stuff. We'll use grassroots marketing, you know, local word of mouth, farmers markets. Down the road, we want to start using a food truck as well to sell our low value meat cuts like our burger, brisket, things like that. And we'll also do wholesale stuff in grocery stores and boutique butcher shops. We can sell our USDA inspected meat to people who have a retail exemption, like Wild Wyoming Meats in Lyman. You know, if like 5 Mile didn't get a USDA inspection right away, we can actually sell meat to them that they can use in their retail side and use a retail exemption. And then, like I said too, we'll have a branded option. We will probably end up using some more Wagyu type genetics to have grass-fed, some Wagyu, some premium prime meats. We'll still sell locker beef. People can buy whole beef from us or halves or quarters, but then also we'll offer the custom processing. That custom processing keeps the lights on. Will be kind of bread and butter to start, but then we'll shift more into the retail and the wholesale beef.
Like I said, I come from an accounting background, so these is what really makes me excited. I've also judges had the opportunity to look at our cash flow statements, things like that. So the revenue model, like I say, is going to be based upon custom processing, and then the meat we're selling directly. Those are the prices, contribution margins is about $700 per animal on custom. Our retail beef is going to hit anywhere from $1,300 in contribution margin, upwards of $25 for that retail individually branded beef. With our financials, we made a few assumptions we wanted to clarify for you. We based our prices off of 1,300 pound cow. Market averages right now has a beef market ready at about 1,300 pounds. Market price, when I built this slide, was $1.65 a pound for fat cattle. It has gone up since then. It's pushing $1.70, $1.75. Right now, cattle, anyone deals with cattle prices, cattle are very expensive right now. Baby calves are selling for $3 a pound. I haven't seen that in a long, well, never seen that before. So I built in some inflation into our operating expenses of 10 to 15%. We increased our fees annually by about 10%. When we were building this and originally planning this budget, we've talked to 5 or 6 different producers and asked them, hey, how much are you spending on insurance? What's your water bill? How much, well, mostly we went, what's your water usage? Then we called joint power boards and linemen and said, hey, what's this going to cost us for water? And use that to build our cash flow statements. The other thing we're going to do, I like my brothers, but I don't necessarily want to go into debt with them. So we're actually going to cash flow this directly between all 3 of us, so there won't be any existing debt on the processing side. We will have some debt building the building, but the actual processing, we intend to do with no debt. And that's why we have the revenue sharing model with the producers, so we don't actually have to go buy that beef. Because at current market prices, that'd be $40,000, $50,000 a month in cash flow we'd have to come up with. Quarterly cash flows though look really, really good. It's profitable from day one. Some of the other assumptions we wanted to show you. We based our labor rates on an average of $25 an hour. Like Tico said, what you'll normally find is you're going to have 1 employee per beef you're processing a day. So when we get up to 5 beef a day you're processing, you're going to have 5 employees at full capacity. We plan on having 7 full-time employees. Like I said, one of them's primary job is going to be doing the paperwork to keep us in compliance with USDA. And on our cash flow, we do have owner's payment coming. We didn't plan a distribution. We had us set up to pay $25 an hour as well as a base W-2 wage.
So this is just the 2-year action plan. We actually just barely got approved to start construction. We're about to. So we were planning on starting construction in the 1st of September, and then we're going to hire a consultant to help us get the USDA, all that paperwork set up, and then we're planning on trying to get our doors open by the 1st of May, and we, like Casey said, we want to be USDA inspected from day 1, so we have that paperwork smoothed out by the time we open our doors, and we'll be doing custom cutting until the beef that we raise are starting to get fat and ready, and then we're going to start running our own beef through and getting other people's beef to come through in the retail and locker beef side. And then once we get, we're going to apply for some value-added grants for the USDA to get some more improvements for the facility, and then just try to be up and running with full capacity by July of 2024. So that's the 2-year plan.
And with that, thank you, and we're excited to answer what questions you have.
Okay, I've got a ton of questions now, and I probably should have had some for Tico and Rory, but feedlot. Most of the ranchers here at cow calf operations, they feed the cows through the winter. They have where they're born, and then they feed them through the summer range, and then sell them to the feedlots. Mm-hmm. You're proposing to either buy them then, or have the ranchers hold the cows through the next winter until they're fat enough to cut? Is that?
Yeah, so your question is, when is the producer going to essentially sell us the beef? So 2 different ways. We have our own feedlot. Wyoming isn't the greatest corn country down here. I can tell you I do have corn this tall in Lyman though, if you want to go look at it. This year, yeah, we got, corn's growing good. But there's different ways you can fat cow, using barley, some other grains to do that. So producers will have the option, if they want to throw it in our feedlot, we can feed it for them and custom feed it. If they want to feed it themselves and just say, hey, when this calf's ready, we're going to send it over and then we'll process it, and once it's sold, sell it.
That was my question. Are ranchers willing to keep feeding those, because they've been used to just selling the calves, are they gonna keep feeding those until you have time to get the calves?
From people we've talked to, we probably have close to 300 head that we could draw this fall if we wanted to.
Okay.
So again, it'll probably at the start, it'll be more of we're custom feeding them through, but just so that they have cash flow up on the front side. But then as things go, you know, if they start holding cattle longer, then it'll kind of work itself out over time.
Okay. The next question I had, and I might have missed it in your, once you become USDA certified, the daily guy, can you sell to a Smith's or a
Yes.
Walmart?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Okay, I probably missed that in your slide.
That'll be my job, getting that into, we'll focus more on the smaller grocery stores, but
Okay,
we'll work that way.
thank you.
I think I'll piggyback on that. So maybe explain a little bit about your thoughts on retail and what that market looks like in the back. Is it U.S. Foods,
Yes.
those type of, and then the retail
Yeah.
stores?
So our primal cuts, there are higher end, like your loin cuts, your higher priced value cuts. We'll send a lot of that through the retail side, through like US Foods, through some of those, but also the low end cuts, or the other high ends we'll sell, you know, through meat subscription options online, different ways that we can send those high cuts out. If people don't want to buy, you know, locker beef. But then our low end cuts, you know, if guys have coal cows, instead of sending them to Riverton or to Blackfoot, we'll take those coal cows and make burger out of them and sell them through the food truck. Because that'll actually, when we run the numbers, the food truck will make more money even on the low end meat than the margin revenue coming from selling it through a higher end retail store.
We do have a connection with a big wholesaler down in Utah that sells a lot of meat for JBS, a bunch of the big kill plants. He says once we're up to a capacity of about 15 head a week, those are the numbers he can start working with to put us into grocery stores and do things that way.
What type of margin do you give up when you look at selling them to a wholesaler?
They usually take about a 5 to 8% cut.
I just had a question about the USDA. So when you grade the animal, whether it's prime choice, will you do that, or do you just go one?
Yeah, we will have it graded. That's the part of the inspection process we actually have to pay for hourly when they come in and do that.
Right.
Yeah, we will have it graded.
$86 an hour.
Yeah. Okay. And then you said you were going to start the construction on your building in the spring. Is that correct?
No, so it's going through planning and zoning right now.
Right.
It'll be at the county commissioners the 15th.
Okay.
But then we'll start as soon as we get the okay. 1st September, we'll start digging foundations.
Okay. How big a building are you going to
It'll
have?
be a 4,000 square foot building
Okay.
with pens to hold animals, and also we can put stuff on our feedlot if we have cattle that are staying over longer than a day.
And this is on your ranch, your property?
Yes, yeah, in line.
Okay. All right.
So just down the street from the KOA.
Okay. All right. Now I know where it's at. Thank you.
Any questions from the gallery?
Any questions from the audience? Then let's, thanks Producers Paradise.
Thank you.
So next up, we are going to have a slight change in the schedule. So we're going to have Design Simplified. So Kevin and Sherry Humphrey.
Sherry Humphrey, and we are designing several. Oh, my mic, sorry. Can you guys hear me anyway? Is that close? Okay, yeah, close enough. Anyway, we're solving problems through design. And my experience is, I didn't realize this, but 27 years of being a draftsman, design draftsman. Probably about 25 years just inventing things, having things just comes to me and drive me crazy. But anyway, that's my experience. Okay.
So my experience is in business management. I ran a business here in town for 11 years. I then worked in payroll for another 11 years, and I worked in accounts payable and accounts receivable. And right now, for the past 11 years, I have worked in contracts. I work for 2 hospitals in Florida, and I do all the contracts for them. Kevin is going to put together the table as I'm speaking. So our Wyoming quad table is both compact and portable. As you can see here, our table fits behind our Forester just perfect, right there on the floor. Where the table that is most used still yet, it doesn't fit there very well at all. The Wyoming quad table has adjustable features. As you can see, this one over here is one of the tables that is our competitor, and it's not very compatible with the adjustable features at all. And it is, they say it is compact, but it's not as compact as ours. With our legs, they can adjust several ways. Also, there's feet on the bottom of our table that if it's on ground that's not level, you can adjust the feet to adjust to that. People want to have confidence in their table. As you can see, Kevin is standing on our table. The other tables, we didn't want to break the table just for this, so. Our customer is, the Wyoming Quad Table's customer is outdoor enthusiasts. They love nature, they love sports, and they are regularly engaging in outdoor activities. Our market, within the Wyoming Quad Table's customers being outdoor enthusiasts, the outdoor recreation base grew from 2.2% in 2022 to 164 million and is still growing. The target states for our table is going to be Alaska, Montana, Idaho, North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, Vermont, Washington, Colorado, Maine. We are going to start with the closest states to us, which is Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado. These states contributed to $18.8 billion to the economy in 2001. So you can see Kevin can stand at our table, no problem at all. The outdoor recreation economy accounted for 1.9%, which is $454 billion in 2021, and it is still growing. So the project has been, that the outdoor furniture market is supposed to grow from 2023 to 2028, 7.88 billion. The retail sales for the folding tables, folding furniture, we can't find anything just with tables, but was 546 million. We are going to work with the Apex Accelerators group here in Wyoming for a military contract for our table. We think our table would be a great fit for the military. And Kevin wanted me to point out, I did things a little different than everyone else. So mine was green X's marks the spot, and the check marks were the no. Everyone else did the check marks. So you can see our table up here, it hit all the criteria for compact, adjustable, portable, strength, and self-contained, where the other ones that are competitors, they don't hit every one of them. So our marketing strategy is we're going to start going to trade shows. And the SHOT Show, that has 500 suppliers in 2022 and had 70,000 attendees. For the Big Gear, which is in Colorado, it had 250 exhibitors and 4,000 attendees. For the outdoor retailers, and that one is in Salt Lake City, Utah, they had twice a year they have theirs. And they had 400 outdoor brands, they had 15,000 attendees. The SEMA show, they had 165,000 attendees in 2022. Now, each one of these, they also showcase new products. So we have a chance of being showcased with our product.
And of course, here we have the YouTuber influencers. A lot of these folks, I don't know if some of you are familiar with any of them. I watch them on a regular basis. And, Amelia up here, she generates probably about 700,000 views per video, just a single one. Matt at Demolition Ranch, he usually has about 1.3 to 1.5 million per video. He has 10 million subscribers as well. And then of course there's Kentucky Ballistics. He's kind of one of my favorites. Guy destroys tables like they're going out of style. He just literally puts anything on them, shoots at stuff. A lot of the energy and that kind of stuff that goes into the table just kind of breaks them apart. And I think it'd be kind of fun to have this one up in front of that many viewers, because he gets about 1 million viewers per video as well. So that would give us a lot of social reach with that.
And then we plan on having on social media as well. So our sales and channel strategy is business to business. By going to the trade shows, we'll find retailers to partner with. We will offer incentives for them to put their cards in a container so that we can get their business cards, and then we can start a list, a contact list. We will also, I found online that a lot of the big retail stores, even the smaller ones, they have submission forms that we can fill out, and we can start getting our table within their businesses. And then we can also have a rep that represents us through those businesses. And then we'll also sell direct to consumer. We'll create a website so that customers can purchase the table through that. So these are some of the stores that we're going to be working with to be able to start the submission forms and get our table within their businesses. Our revenue model is our table is going to sell for $250. It is very strong, it's very unique, and the cost per table to make is going to be $150. The revenue is $100. When we have to sell our tables over online to customers, we are going to pass the packing and shipping on to the customers. The shipping is about $32 per ground to sell it throughout the United States. And then the packing is going to be about $5. So as you can see from our cash flow and profit, that the upticks are when we go to a trade show, and then it is going to drop off. So as you can see, by year 3, we are going to hit $1 million by year 3 of selling our table. Our timeline and scope of work is for year 1, third quarter, we've got a manufacturer that we are going to be working with on our table design, and he's here in Wyoming, so we're hoping that it'll be a good fit so we can keep that within Wyoming. We're also going to be working with our patent attorney. We have a new locking mechanism that we're going to be patenting on our table, and so we're going to be working with our attorney on that as well. Year 2, first quarter, we hope to hire an intern to be able to help us with the marketing and the social media. Year 1, I missed out on the 4th quarter, is when we start going to our trade shows so we can start generating interest and sales within our table. Then year 2, second quarter, we will be working with our YouTubers to generate interest on our table. Year 2, quarter 3, working with the manufacturer to expand and start on the second manufacturer. In order to be able to get a military contract, we've got to be able to increase those sales to be able to do that. Year 2, third quarter, we will start working with the military contract on that. Any questions?
I have lots of questions. Thanks for putting it up. Last time you didn't put it up. Fantastic idea. Couple of questions. Have you thought about benches at all, or just the table, like seats?
Yeah, I've actually been working on a seat design as well that would work in the same manner. It's, this was quite simple in its design. So yeah, I'm looking at that as well.
Okay. And did I miss it? How many are you thinking of selling to get to $1 million? Is that $100 per table until you get to $1 million? Is that? Do you have a number projected of how many tables you're going to sell?
We do. So we're going to start out with selling, we think about 25 to start with, and then with our first trade show, we think that we would sell about that many, and then it would generate up to get to $1 million, and by that point we'll be selling 700 a month.
Okay.
By year 3.
And then have you thought of any other material to do it about? Carbon fiber, or have you tested any other materials with that design, or is it just aluminum?
Yeah, no, I haven't tested any other materials with the design, but there's several types that I've thought about going with. Carbon fiber, of course, would be a very high-end table. It's going to sell to a very exclusive group of folks, but they're out there. I've also thought about doing it in an injected glass-filled nylon. Going that route is more plastic. This is aluminum. I think once we get with our manufacturer, that we'll be able to go through and figure out a better way of building it. Right now, this is a prototype, and it took me, about 6 months to start, beginning to end. And there's a lot of things that I've seen as I've, looked at it over the years. I've gone through and changed it. The legs, for instance, make them so they're attached and that they just fold out versus what you just saw here with the assembly process. And then having the locking mechanism in the center would definitely be attached so it's not going to come apart, get loose from the table. Yeah, because I think that's a problem a lot of folks have, is they take a product, they go out and go camping with it, and it never fits back in the bag. You ever notice that? I mean, I've had that experience more than once. Anyway, so I like it to be all self-contained and attached so these parts don't get lost. So people don't go, hey, my table didn't have this and blah, 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 and whatever. Just want them to be happy and know that it's going to be there.
Right, how about warranty? It looks sturdy. And so what type of warranty do you plan on offering?
I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, I thought about us having a customer service. That way we could talk to folks and see what they were experiencing and how we could better make the table actually better. Warranty, other than driving trucks and cars and stuff over the top of it, yeah, it could be warranty for a year, could be a lifetime warranty, I don't know.
Yeah, just I guess the control at the manufacturer.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on how we'll have the table built in the end. Something like this is pretty heavy duty, as you just saw. Any one of you in the audience could come up here and stand on it, and it'll be just fine. But, people do crazy things. And, like I said, Kentucky Ballistics, he would go through and try to destroy the table. I'm sure he'd be successful. You never know.
Thank you.
How much does the table weigh?
In its current form, it weighs 30.6 pounds. I was wrong when I told you. I was figuring it was about 60 pounds, 40 to 60 pounds. So it's definitely lighter. I knew you'd be disappointed. Anyway, yeah, so that's about where we're at right now.
Okay. Do you want to, is the goal to get it lighter?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the thing with this table is that I can do it in so many different configurations. This can be a round table. This could be a rectangular table. This could be a table like that. Just, you know, some guy could put in his backpack and go camping with. I mean, using the rock and a log and something is great for a person who wants to get out and get away from everything. But if you had a nice flat spot to put, you know, boiling water on or whatever, I think you'd be more inclined to maybe look in that direction. So it has many applications. It has different materials that it can be made out of. But as light as possible is where I'd like to go.
Clarify for me the patent on the locking mechanism. What is that?
Do go with the next, excuse me?
Yeah, what is the locking mechanism that you want a patent for?
Yeah, the locking mechanism that I'm looking at, I can't really disclose as of yet.
Okay.
But the one that you see here, it locks up that center. So, because it pivots, you know, corners pivot, and it comes together the way it does. By locking it up in the center, it was kind of one of the things overlooked in the design process. And as you saw these plates put in around the edges, that hooks those edges all together as well. So that's what makes it lock up and makes it as strong as it is.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, she approved, right?
I hope so.
Are there any questions from the audience?
So did you come up with the price without, you know, the idea of the manufacturer? I mean, once you get in with the manufacturer, it might be, you might find a different material or a different way of doing it. It might be cheaper. Or is this the money, the cost you came up with is just what you thought right now without talking to any manufacturer?
Yeah, we've talked with the manufacturer, but we've also looked at material prices. The aluminum, for instance, and that type of stuff. And it's, like I said, this is a prototype, so there's a lot of welding that happened along here underneath that joined this skirt, if you will, to the top. And then there was a re-annealing process that had to happen in order for it to be as solid as it is. Because if I were to move on it without doing that heating process and bringing it back up to the strength that it was at, it made noises as I was sitting up here on it. So yeah, we've looked at the different costs that are going to be associated with different materials. If we go with an injection molded type style, it's going to be way more on the front end due to cost of the molding. But as far as the materials are concerned right now, that's kind of where we're at.
With the manufacturer,
Yeah.
150 is the cost. Of
Yeah.
the manufacturer.
Well, and according to the manufacturer that we're working with, he does have material that is already heated and it will not have to be reheated again, retreated to make the strength in that. He already has that, so the price could go down with that information.
Yeah. And those, I think what I saw from the photo, those legs can go higher, right? You can raise the table.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can sit in an angle. Kind of designed it that way so that if you were at a construction site, you could use the table for that. You could angle it so you could put your plans out and be able to read them. And the different height adjustments, because not everybody, this is the lowest setting that we have, so.
Any other questions, sir?
What's the intended purpose? Is it for like hunting and like?
Camping, hunting. One of the things we talked about in the beginning was being able for like a military command center, say you had a earthquake or a hurricane, you know, being able to have the military be able to use it in that aspect. Also being able to have mechanics be able to put like a transmission or something on, so that way the different heights it can be. But I'm kind of thinking that mainly towards people who like to go out and go camping. Is your question?
Can we please thank Design Simplifier?
Thanks, Lenny. Thank you, Monica.
And last up are Brian and Lindsay Sendejas from Momentum Powder Coatings.
Hello, everybody. Everybody hear me? I apologize for the mask. We've been fighting COVID for the better part of the last week and a half. We are on the tail end of it, thankfully. We're feeling much better, but...
Take your vitamins, everybody. It's still out there.
That's right. Just be cautious, we'll wear masks. Okay, here's our introductory slide. My name is Brian Sendejas. This is my lovely wife, Lindsay Sendejas. She's up here to make sure I stay on track and to help answer questions at the end of the presentation. Up on the screen, you can see we've got our website, our contact information, physical address. Excuse me. We are licensed to operate with the City of Evanston. We are a registered LLC with the Wyoming Secretary of State. So let's get going. Before we get too far, I'll kind of cover what powder coating is, just a brief overview. A pretty easy way to think about it is a protective metal coat or a protective metal finish. Similar to paint, the big difference with powder coating is this stuff has to bake at about 400 degrees. Some paint does not have to do. That gives us a very hardy and durable finish, provides great protection against ultraviolet and oxidation, rust, which is something we see a lot of living out in this cold environment. Some of the pictures we see here, bottom left, that's our oven. You can see a piece we're taking out of the oven there. We do have a chemical strip bath, which is that center picture, big sandblast cabinet, and then our spray equipment up top. Some of the services we offer, we do chemical stripping, sandblasting, and powder coating, so we do the entire thing, start to finish, whatever our customers might need. Very quickly, what's the problem? As I just mentioned, we live in a very, very rough climate region. I'm sure every single one of us has rust on something we own, right? Before we opened our doors, there was a lack of services in the area. There was no powder coating shop in Evanston before we opened our doors in January. Limited options for metal finishing. Once again, there was no powder coating shop. We would go to like a paint shop. That's about all we had before we opened our doors. We had locals and local shops going elsewhere for their powder coating needs, which is not good for Evanston. And even people traveling to bigger shops in like Salt Lake or Ogden, they were running into the bigger shops offering limited services. A lot of them won't do the prep work. They won't do your sandblasting. They won't do your chemical stripping. They won't do custom colors. We do all of that. If you look at this map here, the red marks represent where the nearest powder coating shops are that aren't us. And the black circle represents the sphere that I call our sphere of influence. It's where we're trying to reach. We've been fortunate enough to have work come to us from Provo, and we've had work come to us from Rock Springs even. The solution, we are the solution. We are a full-service powder coating shop here in Evanston, Wyoming. Like I said, it's highly durable compared to something like paint. There again, we cover our services we offer. We have the ability to accommodate different size projects, so we can do really small stuff like the stuff you see in that picture there, and we can do larger pieces like truck bumpers. And here very, very soon we'll be able to do even larger pieces like large pieces of railing stuff like that. We offer competitive pricing for our services. You won't save any money going to Salt Lake, trust me. We offer top-tier customer service, and most importantly, we offer convenience. Our customers, these are the who we target, really. Metal fabrication shops. We're fortunate enough to have done some work for the local fabrication shops already and hope to keep that going. Manufacturing companies, we're actually in talks right now with escape pod trailers out of Colville, Utah to handle all their powder coating needs. Small individual projects, which currently make up the big chunk of our work. I'd say 95% of it right now is small individual projects. Like this car you see here, we did the brake calipers on it, they look great. Local shops and restaurants, anybody doing a restoration, anything like that, the restaurant might be wanting to bring some new life to their tables. Government entities such as city governments, state governments, and county governments. And then out-of-state and out-of-county customers. So not only do we want to stop the outgoing flow of powder coating, we want to reverse it and have customers that aren't local come to us. Brief overview of the market. Once again, we are the only operating powder coating shop in Uinta County. As I just stated, we want to redirect all that one work and bring it to us. As I mentioned, bringing out-of-state clients to our shop. We're working on that. Luckily, we have a very close proximity to a booming city, which is Salt Lake City, which brings tons of opportunity. And powder coating applies to a large variety of fields. It's not just automotive. I mean, there's construction, like I said, manufacturing, remodeling, anything metal can be powder coated, just about. What we found so far is a high demand in the local economy. We've been operating for 8 months tomorrow, and we found that there is a very high demand in the local economy. Some segmentation numbers real quick. Outside of Salt Lake City and the big city areas like Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, there's a population served of about 80,000 people. That includes Sweetwater County, Uinta County, Rich County, Summit County, and Lincoln County, which is still, in my opinion, a very big chunk of people, a lot of potential customers. Salt Lake City remains one of the top 5 fastest growing cities in the nation. The entire northern Utah region now has over 2 million people residing in it. That brings with it dozens of fabrication and manufacturing shops, which, I mean, that's just tons of opportunity for us to expand and grow, all within a 100-mile radius of our shop. U.S. powder coating revenue is expected to increase from $2.5 billion to $2.7 billion by 2028, with an annual growth rate of about 1%. So this stuff, as time goes on, it is getting more and more popular. It doesn't have a lot of the volatile organic vapors that your paints and stuff put out. This stuff is a little bit more environmentally friendly. According to the Market Research Center, the average small firm sales are estimated around $499,000 in annual revenue. And from the little bit of research I did, that is shops with 2 or 3 employees, which is pretty good. Our competitors, we have no direct competitors in Evanston. We have several indirect competitors in Evanston and the surrounding areas, like Salt Lake City. And it's not just powder coaters. There's paint shops, there's chrome plating shops, anodizing shops, Cerakoting shops. Here's just a little quick chart I did. Of course, powder coating takes all green, because that's what we do. It's very cost effective, it's very durable, it's very versatile, and it's readily available. Yellow means average, red, not so good. You got your cost, durability, the stuff I just went over. And these are our main competing metal finishes, you can call them. I won't spend too much time on this. Paint's probably the biggest thing we deal with. And we're not always competitors. A lot of times people come to us wanting something powder coated and it just cannot be powder coated because it's plastic, which will melt in our oven. So we redirect them to the local paint and body shops, and then they return the favor. We've actually gotten quite a bit of work from the local paint and body shops. Someone wanted their like truck bumpers or something like that powder coated. They send them over to us. Marketing strategy, pretty straightforward. Understanding our market and client profiles, which we've been able to do by being in business the last few months. We have a pretty good understanding of who is coming through our door, what they need, and that kind of helps us identify who to reach out to. Utilizing all social media platforms to promote our business. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We enjoy face-to-face meetings with local businesses and out-of-state businesses. We encourage word-of-mouth promotion through our work. Anybody that comes through our door or picks up a project or something we deliver to them, we encourage them to kind of spread the word about us. Chances are, if you go to any of the industrial businesses in town, you'll find our business cards on the counter. And we're trying to sponsor and attend local shows and events, car shows, things of that nature. We just want to have a presence, let people know we're here. Sales strategy, again, pretty straightforward. First and foremost, we want to provide top-tier customer service, so we cater to the customer whatever they need. We offer full customizing options, such as candy colors and two-tone projects, which a lot of the big shops will not do for you. We offer convenience and flexibility, so we do offer pickup and delivery for anybody that's local. If anybody's a little further than that and they really need something done, we can work something out with them. We offer discounts for projects that have multiple pieces, so the more you bring us, the better deal you get. We try to offer realistic timelines for project completion, so we keep our customers in the loop on where we're at with their stuff and when they can expect to have it back. And then we offer additional services, so we've had several people come in just because they need something chemically stripped or they need something sandblasted. They don't always need something powder coated. We're a revenue model. We're a service-based business. The only way we keep our doors open is to have a consistent flow of incoming projects, which fortunately we do. Our main focus, even though right now 95% of our work is small individual projects, we want to get into large batch projects, which is like what we're working on with Escape Pod Trailers in Coolville, Utah. I mean, they're talking about bringing 500 plus pieces at a time, which is where the real big one is. Of course, we're always going to cater to the small individuals, even when we have our eyes set on the large corporations. And we aim to gain repeat business from our customers. Fortunately, that's something we've seen. We've had several people that have come to us. They've come to us more than once when they need something powder covered. Cash flow, pretty straightforward. Our expenses stay generally the same. We've already done, we'll call it the legwork. We've got a lot of the big equipment. We've already gone through the painful process of spending all the big money up front. Now we just are trying to reap the rewards. According to our cash flow, if everything goes right with some of these bids we have out, by year 3, we should be in the low hundreds of thousands in sales revenue. Just a very quick timeline. We're currently, our main goal currently is upsizing shop space. We want to cater to those bigger projects, and we're just out of real estate where we're at. We actually have a meeting tomorrow with the shop owner, and if everything goes well, we'll start moving by the end of this week. So that date on there, where it says September, that might be a whole lot sooner. Once we're in our bigger shop, we're going to upscale our equipment, put it together. A lot of this stuff we have ready to go, we just don't have the footprint for it. So once we're in that bigger space, it's all a matter of throwing that equipment together and hiring. Because if things go how I think they're going to go, or how I hope they're going to go, we will be very, very busy once we have that bigger equipment in place. Following that, we want to be the main source for all powder coating in Evanston, so we want to make sure all that outgoing work has completely stopped and it's just coming to us. And then influx of out-of-state business, we want to once again reverse the flow of work. We don't just want to stop the outflowing. We want to turn it around and have companies come to us, which we're already seeing, which is great. With that, I'll open up to questions, concerns, complaints, compliments.
Sorry.
So right now, we are working with our oven is 8 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet, which allows us to do something as big as like a truck bumper. Our next oven will be 25 feet deep, 10 feet wide, 8 feet tall. So we'll be able to do really, really big pieces compared to what we're doing right now.
So could you do a body in the car?
Yes.
The whole car?
Right, yeah, so with our bigger equipment, we'll be able to do like a truck frame. We've got inquiries to sandblast the entire frame. A lot of these restoration shops, that's something they do before they start putting projects together.
And then I've got a couple other questions, sorry to take all your time. When you, and I'm naive to what powder coating is, when you powder coat something, does it add any weight to that piece? Or how much weight does it add?
It doesn't add a whole lot of weight. Most of this stuff is going on at 2 or 3 mils thick, and the powder is super light. So for example, if we're doing like a set of rims for a truck, they're 20 inches wide, 12.5-inch wheel. A couple of pounds of powder between all 4 of them will get them done. We'll get them covered really, really nice. That's one of the nice things about powder coating too, is the material cost is so low. Depending on what color they go with, you're looking at anywhere from $10 to $20 a pound on the powder cost.
And then the other question I have with that is, somebody brings you a valve, outside valve or something, wants a powder coated. Can you do that and still have the valve work? Or does the powder coating kind of seal it up? Do you have to keep breaking it, you know? I guess educate me on doing like something that's a mechanical piece of equipment that needs to still work after you're done.
Right. So depending on what it is, it depends if it has like rubber seals in it. Okay. We just did a tire for a Jeep, you know, the ones that sit behind the Jeep. Those open and close, they're a working mechanism. So on something like that, you want to take off any piece that might melt first and foremost. And then any rotating pieces, so this thing had like bearings in it, we disassemble all of that. Okay. And that's another thing we do is this customer didn't want to deal with uninstalling their stuff, so they just dropped their vehicle off to us, and we just bill them for the labor just to disassemble it and put it all back together for them. But on something like a valve, it would depend. Any threaded pieces, we use plugs and stuff like that to make sure, because that powder will gum it up, and it will keep pieces from moving that should be moving. Okay. So really it just varies on the piece. But yeah, we're very careful to make sure it works like it did after we're done with it.
Thank you. You said you're going to be moving to a new shop.
Yes.
When will that happen?
So we have a meeting tomorrow with the shop owner. Down the line, I think we'd like to just buy our own property and save ourselves a little bit of headache. But tomorrow we're meeting with him in the morning, and if all goes well, the last tenant just left. If all goes well, we will start moving our stuff sometime this week.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Shop space is hard to find here, so we've had a hard time finding something that would fit our needs.
Yes. We're going to have a nice location too. We try to make ourselves accessible where people can reach us pretty easily.
That's it for me. I'm lucky enough to have this be my second time, so congratulations. Keep going then. I don't have any questions.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Anybody in the audience have a question for us?
With that, let's thank Momentum Powder Coating. It's your guys' turn. So first we're going to excuse all the judges and any partners that want to go into the judging room. So I want you guys to go get your food before everybody else. And then we're going to meet in that exit door down the stairs in the basement. And so everybody else, I want you to vote on your favorite. So there's going to be 2 different audience choice awards. The first one is audience choice. And you can look on the back of your there's a number to text your vote to. So you're going to text this number twice. So the first one, you're going to pick 1 through 7, and each of those are on the back of your flyer. And you'll just pick your choice for the audience choice. So that's just pretty much your favorite. It could be your favorite because they had a good presentation, or because you think they're going to create lots of jobs and amazing, development to Evans or to Uinta County. And then the second one is the Job Creator Award. So that's a separate text to the same number that's on the back of this program. And it's you'll be texting 8 through 14 for that choice. And we do want to thank the UC EDC for presenting the Audience Choice Award, and for State Bank for presenting the Job Creator Award. And there are the instructions on the big screen, so if y'all can get out your phones and vote for your favorites, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then, so there will be networking afterwards, so you all can go out in the lobby and get your food. And please keep it in the lobby or outside. And while the judges deliberate, you guys can network with one another. Then we will announce the winners tonight. If you cannot stay, until that announcement, they will also be posted on impact307.org. And so we're on Facebook, and you can also see it on my local radio's page. Thank you so much.
I think thinking about credit where credit is not due sometimes because they shell it off. But those two worked their butt off on this, so I want to shout out.
And can we also give our appreciation to Rocco O'Neill? He is a rock star in economic development. We could have done this without him. So thank you everybody for your patience as our judges did their very difficult decision. And thank you everybody for voting for the Audience Choice and Job Creator Awards. And I'd just like to thank all our amazing finalists for doing such a great job. Can we all give them a round of applause? And I'd like to remind everybody that, no matter the results tonight, you guys are all fantastic companies, and we hope that you continue with the one-on-one mentorship and the business education classes. And if you're a company that does not receive funding tonight, you will be eligible for future competitions if they are held. There is no guarantee that we'll have a Uinta County Startup Challenge next year, but if we do, if you do not win this year, you can reapply for next year. And Rocco wants you to also know that's also true for Jumpstart Evanston. If you've been in the Jumpstart Evanston program and you haven't won funds, you can reapply, or if you haven't been in Jumpstart Evanston. So with that, we're going to announce the winners. So first, the two Audience Choice Awards, which are non-monetary. So the first one is the Audience Choice Award, and that is made possible by the UC EDC. And the winner of that is Webster's Mycology. And then the Job Creator Award, which is made possible by our Seed Fund sponsor State Bank, is Webster Mycology. And now for the Seed Fund winners. So these winners will be getting some seed fundings, which will be released against milestones. And we'd love to thank, again, our sponsors that made the Seed Fund possible. So that was the Wyoming Innovation Partnership, the UC EDC, and State Bank. And those Seed Fund winners are Webster Mycology, Dare to Be Safe, and Momentum Powder Coatings. And thank you all for coming and supporting everybody tonight, and drive safe.